That's my understanding.
Good to know.
I mean, I didn't say that.
The one.
That you were not introduced to the correct person? Wrong app. Yep, I know strategic planning. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Sorry. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Am I allowed to say?
Is it? Yeah. You can, but you should talk to the students. Okay, I'll do that. Students. But yes. Yeah, okay, yeah. These are all.
Bring it to Amanda to get assigned for volunteer.
But there could be specific reasons for that. So there's, every case has its own. Any building you see here that's not tied to a high school. Yep, is going to be. Okay, all right, that makes, because
Those chairs. You have your chair.
Okay. All right, excellent.
The other thing I was just telling Kevin is that we tend to take a lot of notes on these minutes, and we don't really have an obligation to do that either. We just need to say
Right.
roll call, votes taken, and that's it.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
and I'm guilty of it too, because all last year I was just writing everything down.
Every single thing, right, exactly. Yep. Which there's benefits to both ways, right?
Yeah. It's really, it's on one hand, it's just a public record of what decisions were made.
Right.
And on the other hand, some people want to go and read and find out what happened.
Exactly.
I don't know how many people actually do that.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I don't know what the answer
And now that we're broadcasting everything.
Right, so it's even less, maybe less important.
Yeah, people are less likely to read it and go back and.
Or just attend the meeting.
This is all.
So, Mr. Select Board Member. Any movement on procuring recording equipment for the building?
I have yet to dive into that.
Yeah.
Merci.
Have you had a meeting yet? One? Just curious.
So. He starts this meeting, right? Very tough.
Well, it might not even matter because it'll be somebody else taking the notes. Yeah.
Wow, small turnout today. What's going on? I expected like a whole lot more excitement.
What? I'm supposed to be over there?
You're supposed to be wherever you want.
You be wherever you want.
We're doing this like
Really
this is the
awkward.
boys' team.
I just sat here before anyone else got here, so I didn't really think about it.
I simply sat here because you were having some technology concerns.
I was absolutely having some technology issues. Would you like me to move? Want me to get on my side of the room? Okay. We're all in this.
This is the girl. Currently, this is the girl
Okay,
table,
so
and that's
for
the
the
boys
boys.
table, and that.
Okay, I like it.
Correct.
We're waiting on him.
That's it.
been here before.
What are you talking about?
Here he is.
Yeah, you gotta.
We're
call-
good.
You have to.
I'm gonna write stuff down. I don't know.
Why am I asking you something? Right, I need to focus.
If everybody's all set, I am going. If that's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Before the call to order, I like it. Okay.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I like it.
So this is our annual reorganization meeting. Pretty much by statute, you're supposed to, or regulation, the superintendent calls the meeting to order. And one of the very first items of business is to then elect a chair that takes over that meeting. We do not have the issue on the agenda. It talks about roll call, so let's do that first.
Angie Bolio.
Angie Bolio.
Kevin Morris.
Aaron McKeon.
Thank you. Officers, and the first office is for a school board chair. Do we have any nominations for school board chair?
I would nominate Aaron for board chair. That's just, we've had some conversations in the last couple of meetings. I've had conversations with these two in the last couple of meetings, and I know Angie felt like she was a little rusty on procedures, and I know Aaron is far ahead of me on procedures. And I don't think there's too much animosity.
You guys look cute like that though.
So Kevin's taking minutes. Do you want me to come over and put my screen over there?
Are you gonna take minutes tonight?
I suppose I could.
I need our other, we have to continue.
Once
but-
you figure it out.
I wouldn't mind, but.
I'll do minutes at the end. Apparently, we've been doing minutes
Okay.
in excess of what is needed here, but we really only need to capture major events in the meeting. Like
Major events, votes.
So I don't need to capture every comment from the crowd like I have been trying to and just be completely distracted.
We still need all.
You still need all
Okay.
three positions.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would just, I think, having the clerk would just have to take the notes.
Right.
Right.
Okay, we'll take her. She can be the no official vote, or minutes taker. That's her job.
Okay, so the next position then would be vice chair. Does anybody want the position, or basically it's just a backup to the chair if the chair's not here? Or I
Do you have a preference between chair and secretary and
It doesn't matter to me, honestly.
vice chair?
I don't care.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll nominate Kevin then, since you've been here for a year. Not as rusty, yes.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that leaves me secretary, but we have to vote on that.
Yep.
Do we have to do an official nomination? Okay, I'll nominate Angie to be secretary.
Second. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. 2-0. All right, so that takes care of that. Now, are we at public forum? Yes, public forum number 1. Anybody
know that's later on the agenda, but really more appointments. I didn't know if it was also kind of an update since there was cancellation. Anything more about that?
I think on the agenda, we have to reappoint members of the committee. I don't know if we had an official update, but as you mentioned, the meeting that was supposed to happen yesterday was canceled. So, and for those who don't know, Lynn, the consultant, her daughter was having a baby, so she was 30 hours in labor, and so we decided to give her a free pass. So there's no real updates since the last meeting, and yeah, so really that's it. And I guess when we get to that point in the agenda later, we'll just renominate everybody.
Those committees will be able to go right to work once they're renominated.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so any changes or additions to the agenda that anybody wants? Take that as a no. We changed it.
Do we have, are we gonna cover the school choice open house in anything that's on here?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, but discussion at that point.
Okay.
Changes. Approval of minutes from the last meeting, was it just one?
Did I upload it? Or, no, I didn't take those minutes.
Who took these minutes?
Wait, this February 13th, not March 18th. So, yeah, okay. So we do.
So you did, right?
I would have taken those minutes. Yeah.
So that should change.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would have
so
saved them in the folder. Did they get?
I haven't been able to access this, so this is the first time I'm looking at it, but
Okay.
on 2 under public forum should be Jim P, not Joe P.
Oh,
Are you able to just pull it up live and just make the edits?
yeah.
And then it should be changed under item 2 on that same, so 2
Hang
references the same
on.
thing.
I've almost got it open. All right, so public forum, Jim, not Joe. Okay, and then next you said what?
Item 2 under that same thing. Just his name needs to be corrected.
Poor Jim.
Poor Joe. Oh, thank you. Oh my God, how many pages? 17? I'm sorry, everybody, I haven't had access to this, so.
Everyone is very upset with you.
Do you still not have access, or?
She's looking at it.
I think that I have permission, but I can't access it tonight on my,
Oh, okay.
because the internet's so good. And can I vote on this anyway? Can I vote on this anyway? Because,
You can't.
You
really.
can't.
oh, then, okay.
You guys.
So we can just push it to next meeting?
Well, she wouldn't do
She
it.
can't
I can't,
Oh, because you weren't.
Yeah,
I wasn't,
That's up to you two
I was
guys.
just giving you a second to skip it back.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I'm happy to.
yeah, okay, yeah, and I.
All right, I'll second that.
All those in favor, aye?
Minutes are. Okay.
Are you writing all this down for tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, he scribbles better than I do, so
Okay.
just hand it to me and I'll type it out.
All right, so we got the minutes approved.
So appointments and designations, attorneys, auditor, bank, and newspaper. Did we, sorry?
You can do those in blocks, so for each block of designation, just read it and then you can vote, ask questions and vote on the whole block.
Okay, I don't think that there's anything like controversial here, but we've got attorneys sort of as needed. The auditor has always been Robertson Green as far as I'm happy with them. Skoma Savings Bank for our bank, Equal Times is our official newspaper. I don't have any reason to change any of those, so I'll make a motion to.
Well, do we have an attorney officially designated?
No.
We've just been using, what's his face?
Yeah, we go.
Drummond.
Yeah.
Generally, but sometimes we've used a couple of other firms, but just use a better person for that particular topic.
Right.
Okay.
You know, which was kind of,
And the past year was sort of an anomalous year on
yeah, we generally don't have to use attorneys. I try to go to all the free stuff and ask my questions there.
All right.
Happy with it?
You were making a motion.
No, didn't want to jump the gun. So yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the appointments and designations just listed.
Second?
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
All right.
The professional staff lists are attached, or they were sent out. But essentially, we're looking at the exact same staff that we've had in the past, so. There's one paraeducator who is not on the list. And that would be a non-public if anybody wanted to know more about that.
So we lost one or?
Yeah, we will be losing one.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's nothing around that's just a person who's not coming back.
Where would I see this attached?
after this year, they're gonna finish out the year.
Yeah, oh yeah, they will finish off the year.
What are you looking for?
You said the professional staff list is attached, is it in the?
It's in the drive.
It's in the drive.
It's in the drive. It's
For this month's meeting?
Yeah.
Which documents?
Renomination of
School year.
school year two,
Got it.
23,
Okay.
24.
I was looking for something that said professional staff. I wasn't gonna find
Oh,
it.
yeah, but they're all on one sheet.
Got it.
Are you guys good with it?
Yeah, he's,
Yeah, I think so.
So I'll make a motion. Can I make a motion?
I did have a question, Frank, with respect to yours.
Yeah.
Because I know you've got the other thing going on. What do we expect as far as like hours or what days that we have in Croydon?
So they tend to be on Croydon Monday, Wednesdays. I don't always come over here because there's really no office or place for me to work. So I do try to come at least those 2 days and spend some time. There are other days I split. Tuesday, Thursdays tend to be my days in the other district. But there's a lot of days where I spend time with both.
Okay. But as a general rule of thumb, kind of
So
Monday, Wednesday.
general rule, it's I have 1 day as superintendent in the district. I have 1 day per week during the school year and 1 day for special education.
Yeah, sorry, that was my only.
And so then when you throw in like Saturday and tonight, it's like kind of done for me. But that's not what I do. I spend time here. I don't have hours like that.
Forgive my ignorance and my lack of motivation this year to get over to the school during the school day and see what you actually do as the special education director. Can you just give me like a gist? Like,
Sure.
Do you work hand in hand with the kids, or are you director guiding staff?
Right, I'm guiding staff and attending meetings. For example, today, I received from the state. I'm the person who gets all the communication from them around special ed. There are 13 indicators that we get rated on for performance. And we passed every single one of them without any concern whatsoever. I can't say that in my other district, there's a different special ed director that did not happen. The only thing they said to us was that they would like me to spend our grants sooner. That's kind of impossible because the grants are based on needs. And so some of it, like you can say, yeah, okay, we can write that grant in 90 days and we can have at least 50% of the money spent by January 1. But that's kind of an impossible thing. Other than that, we have right around 20 students. I interact with families. I go to all of the meetings in our outlying schools with families and with I'm on their teams as the local education administrator, the LEA rep. There's a lot of those. When we do reevaluations, there's probably 3 or 4 meetings just associated with the evaluation process. And then there are either trimester meetings or quarterly meetings. And lots of times they're just meetings because kids have something going on. I also do sit in on all the meetings here as the LEA. Nicole has been providing some of the direct service. Mary Beth probably still does some of the direct service. And she does the scheduling and the case management at the school. We also have a case manager at Montessori, and so I have to monitor and supervise her work there as well. It's that kind of stuff. And all the state reporting we just did, a lot of meetings. So.
And is this, I assume special ed separate certification from?
Are based on our budgeting season. Everyone has received a 5% increase because of what was going on with inflation. And that was budgeted, so its contracts are being written based on that. On that budgeting, so.
Okay, so will we see those or actual?
You're welcome to
I mean, we're approving contracts, but we're not looking at contracts, so that is a little, I'm not saying I want to change them, but.
So the way I would do that is I'd ask you to come in and review them. So once we vote tonight, then I will actually create them. And so the only person the school board actually hires is me. And then technically I hire everybody else, but all boards go through a process of renomination of employees for those contracts. And you could certainly object to a contract if you wanted it, and we could talk about it. But I think that's probably better than.
I think that my issue is just with the wording of this, like we're approving contracts but haven't seen contracts. I'm happy to approve a professional staff list and then technically approve contracts. Do you know what I'm saying?
How about approve the drafting of contracts?
Yeah, the thing is the contracts by law have to be out by the 15th of April. So I have to get them out. So
how do we approve these people and ask you to move forward? And then, I mean, it's not like we're going to say.
Do they have to approve the contract or can they approve the renomination?
The renomination, it should
That's
say
the word.
renomination, it should say approve renomination.
Do they have to approve the contract or can they approve the
The
renomination?
renomination, it should
That's
say
the word.
renomination, it should say approve.
Do they have to approve the contract or can they approve the
The
renomination?
renomination, it should
That's
say
the word.
renomination, it should say approve renomination contracts. The dollars in the contracts have already been discussed by the school board,
That's in the
voted on
budget.
by the public.
Okay, so that's.
So
we
I'm
need
just
to-
changing the wording.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's renomination list is usually how
All right.
it's.
and then if you do want specifics, I'm happy to let you go through my copy of them.
Is that something standard that you would share with the board
No,
Never. For
We
tonight,
have
it
to
just,
approve Frank's stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, mine is, I'm your employee, so. And then after that,
So who drafts that contract?
pardon me.
Who drafts that contract?
That is just the same contract and that's, I'm on this list too. It's the same contract that I've had since I've been here essentially. And so it's just,
we should
none,
look at
in
it.
fact, none of them
someday.
changed. There've been, over the years, been a few minor changes.
So you draft up the contract and the school board chair signs it for them?
But you will sign mine, yeah.
But that contract was created by the school board
Yeah.
initially.
And it just hasn't changed.
It changes with the negotiations that you
As far as
have with the superintendent.
The numbers change, but the contract.
Sometimes the content, if in negotiations, you folks come to a different agreement on one of the items.
But there's not much in there.
I don't remember
Being
reviewing it.
part-time, I really don't have benefits or.
Do you want the opportunity to review it before we?
I just don't remember reviewing your contract last year, so it's
I
not,
don't know if you did.
it's not striking a chord with me. So
I think we did this and then I think Jody came in as chair and,
She just signed it.
She did.
Okay,
yeah, it's not a contract till now, until Aaron signs it, so.
okay. All right.
And you're welcome to review it. It's pretty simple. Straightforward.
So the actual approval will come then with my signature is what you're saying?
On mine, yeah.
Okay, so that's fine.
And I'm outside of
Right
the,
now, we can-
yeah,
email it to me and they can review it too.
But yours is the only signature that needs to be on.
you have any
Okay.
problem with it, you think the board should see the whole thing, then don't sign it, and we'll schedule non-public to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so you changed the wording to approve renomination for professional staff, support staff administrators. Okay, so then I make a motion to accept. the
All three of those.
Yes.
Second?
No, it's just occurred to me.
I was busy still.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. So we've got professional staff.
Support staff.
All right, so this is, yeah. So the votes of affirmation, these are three separate items, I think, correct, that we have to discuss? This is not one chunk, is it? Policy
You can
manual.
vote them in a chunk. You may want to discuss each one of them.
The policy manual is like in flight, so I guess we're just approving it as is, and we just continue to make modifications.
We're making sure that it's really clear that it is being updated and revised.
Yes.
Because we're way out of date on a lot of stuff.
I did notice when I was reading the 20-page document that we had to review, that there is a requirement that we have a certain policy in place.
Yes.
Are those covered, or are they at least one of the, are they in the group prioritizing?
Right, so, anything that has to do with purchasing and spending we're covered because we did that DA.
DDA.
Yeah, whatever that policy was. So, yeah, we're in good shape and we have, one of our big problems is we don't have our policies all in one place and, so that's part of what we're working on too. But, yeah, I think we're pretty well covered on everything. It has a lot of policies. So,
School safety plan, I admit, I don't really know what's in that.
so we have a school safety plan. Nicole has updated that with the school safety committee and with Homeland Security, I think, came up and helped. You're welcome to come in, again, come in and privately review it if you'd like, as a board member, but we don't make that available to the public.
Was that, that was like a year or two ago that they came? Was it, am I remembering that right, or have they come again?
About 18 months.
Yep, they were here about a year ago and we had the bigger thing, and then, each year it's looked at before the start of the school year.
So
So it's up to date and current.
that's why you notice there are numbers on the outside of the room rooms now that are very identifiable, things like that. It's suggested as long as other things.
And then on the federal grant funding, federal assurances, I gave that a read again, and there's just so much in there. Like, everything from, we have to say that we're following animal cruelty laws, and it's the whole gamut, right?
Right, yeah.
I mean, I think
We
it's just,
don't, yeah, we have no choice about it. We want to accept their federal money, and we just make sure we aren't cruel to animals, so. Or whatever, all those things, and we're not, we just basically, I think you're pretty much safe if you basically operate in a reasonable, decent manner. You do things, and we get audited a lot, so.
well, there were some things in there that, like, we need certain signage on the walls, for safety things or whatnot. Are we?
I believe we are in compliance, yeah. No idling is one of those.
So last February, we had a full audit by the DOE, and they looked at all that signage.
We've never been so up to date.
Until something new comes along that, we need to do, we're as compliant as we can be.
The closets have not an exit printed on them now.
Oh my
Very up to date.
I'm okay with these.
Okay.
Yep.
I move to affirm all three of these items.
And I have an original
I'll second, sorry.
that you can initial all 17 pages.
Aaron gets to do
That we can, or that we need
Just
to?
initial.
Okay.
The chair initials
Yeah,
every
sure.
page.
I gotta go on each page.
Yep.
Happy day.
Congrats, buddy.
Thanks.
All right, so I seconded that.
Okay, all those in favor?
I,
Aye.
So this next group, these are the folks we're doing business with, and we have contracts with that. I'll just point out a couple, someone like Jeannie Hines, there's not any kind of set fee, but she has agreed to be our physical therapist on those occasions when we have someone who requires it. Right now, we don't. But I like keeping her approved and letting her know, and so that I know when we need someone, we have someone who knows kids and is educationally based. The same with the OT. Booth B is really our only go-to. They're an agency that provides OTs and speech language pathologists and people like that. And generally that's where you go when you can't find anybody, and we haven't been able to find our own part-time OT to help us out. We do have needs, a lot, some. Constellations, really, there's 2 behavioral therapy groups, and also they come in and they do assessments, behavior assessments for us when we have someone who we need help with. And we've been working with this company probably, actually, since I've been associated with Croydon, we've had Constellation. So Lynn Howard, of course, Butler Bus, Libby Curran, she is the person who's on contract who does she's our reading specialist at Montessori, and she also does some of the case management there. The person I work with there, I do those meetings we were talking about earlier. Kathy Ivy is both on our employee list. She's not on this list, but we probably should. She also works for us as a consultant in some of our outlying districts, so she should have been on this list as our speech language pathologist.
can you add that?
As if you know her, she's extremely generous with the district.
That's a little interesting to me, because my understanding of employment law, typically you're either a contractor or an employee.
She's not an employee, she's contracted.
Okay.
She's totally contracted, yeah.
You said speech language pathologist?
Yeah, that's all.
And then on Butler Bus, we're just approving the final year of a 3-year contract.
Right,
Yeah.
you have to negotiate with them. Yeah. Sure.
And
Yeah,
none of
I
the
don't
other,
think they really need- It's not even a reapproval, it's just ongoing, it hasn't run its term.
Yeah, it's a multi-year contract that next year you'll do an RFP for transportation.
I think that's the one that we're all most interested in this list.
and then the rest of them, we don't technically have, we have actual contracts with them, or they're
Yes.
just, we do. Okay. So I move to approve the contracts for items 1 through, actually will now be 7, because Kathy Ivy, we've added.
Second? And all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, committee appointments. So I know at least with the strategic planning committee, our plan was to keep the current composition. I'm happy to stay on as chair, and Jan Mitchell, Brenda Williams, and then Leslie and Samantha Nelson, unless they change their minds. But, so should we do these separately? I guess I'll just make a motion to reappoint all existing members of the strategic planning committee.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
And then Jody was on the policy committee, correct?
she was.
So we need someone else.
So who wants it? Does anybody want writing policies?
No, I hate them.
Is anybody on the policy committee love writing policy?
Laura. I was gonna say, Laura, wait until Chris, she gets into it.
That's a niche thing to really enjoy.
And that's monthly?
Actually, we have a good committee, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, folks have, they've taken a real interest. I'm pleased. I've had a lot of policy committees in my life, and some of them are pretty difficult.
I know Jody had some very positive things to say about it.
So, Jody, just be fair, Jody has done a nice job listing what our needs are and putting policies into the folder that we're working with. She's done some really nice things there, so that is very helpful to us. Now, we could have a board member, we need a board member on the committee.
Right.
But that
I'll
board
do it.
member doesn't have to function as the chair, you could elect the chair from the group, once you're there.
I'll do it. Do I have to be nominated?
Are there only 2 committees?
Just two.
No, I just thought there was another for some reason.
I'll make a motion that Angie represent the board of the policy committee.
Can I say?
Second.
You want to approve the rest of the members?
And I guess I don't know if the rest are,
I reached out
Yes.
and I had no one declined.
okay, so I guess then the motion is that Angie be the board representative on that committee, and that we reappoint all of our existing non-board members.
I'll second that.
Now, Frank, when you say no one declined, did everyone affirm?
No.
No one affirmed either.
So I made an assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're good, all right.
Laura's eyes are twinkling at the idea.
I know, she loves it. Let's go.
And Kathy is a yes.
And Kathy said yes. She
We all
just
vote for Kathy.
just got back from vacation. Poor thing is not ready for life again. Alrighty.
All right, did we do all those in favor on that one or not?
No.
No. Did somebody second it?
Kevin seconded it.
Both of us.
One of you made the motion and the other one seconded.
Aaron made the motion, both of us
All
seconded.
those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Before you move on from there, we asked when the next committee meetings are. I think strategic planning maybe was May 1st.
Yeah, although we haven't discussed it, or just something entirely next month or reset yesterday's meeting. I figured I'd give Lynn a couple of days.
I had no chance to research,
Okay,
just this.
so then tentatively probably just be next month, and I think we're doing the first Monday of each month. Since it's the same people, I assume it's. And I can't speak to their policy. Frank, did you guys have any sort of schedule penciled together on the
No,
policy side?
not on the committees. Usually the committees kind of make a decision based on the new membership.
Okay.
I mean, with the old membership, we kind of hope they stay the same because our schedules get.
Okay.
So look for an email from the new board chair,
There you go.
committee chair.
I think that we had an existing day we typically met.
First Tuesday.
First
First Monday was
Monday.
strategic.
Strategic.
First, oh,
And first Tuesday for policy.
strategic.
Because we conflicted with,
The select board. Yep.
Policy written down.
Oh, what one are we
Policy.
talking about?
Are you sure it wasn't second,
It was the second Tuesday.
second
Policy.
Tuesday? It's the second Tuesday, because we wouldn't do first and first, and I'd have 2 meetings in a row, and that'd make me cry.
yes.
Almost happened this week.
So I second first each policy.
Yeah, so we were deciding Tuesday, so that we avoided first back to back.
Okay.
So that would potentially, is policy committee meeting in April or moving to May? Because technically, we could meet on the 11th
Yeah.
of
Do we
April.
pause for the summertime?
We do in July, happily.
So
July and August.
So we're gonna have 2 meetings and then
And then
a pause.
You can decide what you want
So-
to do. I mean.
But we have a couple of policies we need to get done before the end of the school year.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So we should do 3 meetings.
So policy meeting next Tuesday. Is that what I'm on now?
April 11th.
So Frank won't be there.
Neither will
Frank?
I.
Oh, Frank and Beth, neither will be there. Nicole is always available.
That's fine if you want to meet without me. That's.
Is that fine?
Oh, is that a select board meeting?
It's a select board meeting.
Well, what?
Well, we're going down to pizza. We'll have more seats. We'll just be a few of us.
What?
I think
We had the last week.
we need it.
How about, oh, you know what? Tuesday, the 18th was originally going to be the board reorganization meeting. So we could instead do
Does that work for you guys?
policy.
That works.
What time do you want to do that?
Yep.
And that is typically at 6:30, even though.
So this would be policy.
Well, we just finished earlier. Since we're having conversations here.
6:30?
She wants,
Oh, yeah.
you want
Yeah,
earlier?
Yeah,
5 o'clock, I don't care. 3 o'clock? I gotta work at 1.
Oh, there you
We need
go.
to talk.
Yeah. Okay, 3
So what are we doing?
What time?
18th.
Yes, what time are you available on that day?
Anytime after 4:30.
Okay, we have several members here.
4:30.
Can anybody do earlier as opposed to 6:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Kathy could.
Oh,
We'll
Kathy
go for
can.
Kathy.
Yeah, she's totally fine.
4:30.
5 o'clock would be lovely.
5.
5 o'clock?
Yeah, I'm great not getting home at 8.
Oh,
I'm great, I'm getting home at 9.
Awesome.
Strategic planning, you should really start to listen.
Thank you for that.
Megan, we can get all the information.
Oh,
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, can we do 5:30? Megan? Come on, Sam, be Megan.
Yeah, she's new. All right, so let's do 5:30, and then if we need to. push
Yeah.
it Out a little.
Let's encourage that.
Yeah.
I'll throw it out. I need to get my send it, you'll send an email? You'll send an email?
So I need to warn these,
Yeah.
put the notices up.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, thank you very much.
Just an hour.
An hour makes a big difference because my drive is an hour. It really is nice. I'm smiling.
So should we move on to the
Back here.
board calendar? Is that what's next?
Yes, please.
School board.
Do we have a calendar already kind of drafted in here? Look at that.
Yes.
In the drive.
So
Yeah, I know we're typically avoiding days where the select board meets. And, I mean, I'm fine to continue with our current schedule, but I know we have a new person on board, so. We've been doing the first Tuesday of every month, right?
We have been third.
Sorry, I get confused with this time of year, with all the budgets.
Yeah, things get wild. With our current draft for next year's calendar, all of these dates are okay as well.
And those are all third Tuesdays.
These are not in the district calendar.
May and June, it says May and June are the second Tuesday.
Which would be an issue.
Yeah,
That's an
I
issue,
made-
I can't do second Tuesdays.
May was there because I can't do third Tuesday.
I found
Hold on.
Oh my God, that is
So
so
that's
much.
the second Tuesday.
I just let it all sit and then at the summer I clean
That
it.
looks like mine.
When is this?
My son looks at it.
select board second.
Why am I struggling?
What's like for second, for
Okay, so that's, can't be right.
So
We're just looking at the
May 9th.
board meeting schedule, and it says second Tuesday. but-
Right, because Frank couldn't make the third Tuesday in May.
Or because the day was vacation.
Yeah.
Things
so
like
we
that.
just not do it in town hall.
Or we look at the first.
People get a little ugly when they're on the same night.
Yeah, they do that too.
Yeah.
Because then Ed can't record it.
It's not so much, I don't necessarily think so much about me recording it, I think it's more so people can't.
Conflicted as to which one to go to.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, they're
No,
both
it's-
important to everybody in town.
it's understandable. I think we should avoid having them on the same day.
I mean, policy committee meetings or whatever, you know, if that helps us out, that's one thing.
Right.
But, here.
Frank, would it be easier for you if you could Zoom into these meetings?
I'm sorry.
If you could Zoom, you be on the Zoom.
I would do third if I could. Yeah, that week, I'm on that whole week because, family. So,
So what about May, why can't we do May 2nd? That's the first Tuesday. Is that appropriate?
That's fine.
Right, yeah.
Did you say policy committees?
No.
Strategic plan the night before,
Two in a row. I
Yeah.
can like escape it.
but that's whatever.
That's all good. We have to,
Yeah, we'll do it the second.
so.
So we're going to do May, June,
What's going on in June?
are both the first Tuesdays?
June, I have to look real quick to make sure we're good. Jim's
The
calendar.
third, I know why, the third Tuesday in June is after school is out.
Correct.
What about June 6th?
June 6th is fine.
June 6th works.
Okay.
But that's gonna start interfering with policy, right? Because are you policies first Tuesday?
Second Tuesday.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Strategic is.
All these meetings are.
Like that.
Okay, so does June 6th work for you guys?
So we have the first Tuesday in May, first Tuesday in June, we skip July, and then we go back to the third Tuesday every month after that.
Yep.
Yes.
There seems to be no exception except for January.
Yeah, then we get extra meetings because of the budget.
Okay.
And then, can you go back to the agenda? Are we also going over this actual school calendar?
That was a different,
School
Oh, that's
board
next
meetings
one.
scheduled.
Yeah.
What's next?
and is 6:30 good? We want to keep it 6:30?
What do you
Our
want?
school board meetings?
I definitely wouldn't want to do it later.
No.
Later.
Oh my God, no.
I really enjoyed those nights of being here till 11:30 though. That was super fun.
These are Tuesdays, right?
Yes.
Funny one, that Kevin.
Tuesdays I could do earlier,
Would earlier be
because they
better
actually
for,
just canceled the kids thing they used to do on Tuesdays, so.
I mean, we can't make it too much earlier because people are working, but like, we could even do 6.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Meet at 6.
So are we doing, no, this is the big
Right.
one.
Manifest.
I was gonna say,
All of them?
does that have to start at 5:45 and then the meeting starts at 6? Or is the signage at 6?
And as you come in, they'll be here.
You're good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So official meeting start at
The
6.
official starts at 6.
Yeah.
And anybody who doesn't get a chance to sign, I'll catch them afterwards.
Cool.
How's that?
Okay.
Mhm.
So we need to formally approve that.
Yes.
Yes.
Move to approve the school district's board meeting schedule as I have edited it as we spoke.
Excellent. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Keeping in mind, there was no mention of time of day for the meetings, and it was just
That's
calendar
what you just
dates.
decided, so,
Make sure it's in the minutes.
yeah. the minutes should
Show all the
reflect
ones.
that.
All right.
Let the minutes reflect, they will be all at 6 PM.
They are so good.
So reflect.
All right.
Before we move on, just so crystal clear, my brain, all these calendar events. May 2nd, 5:45, start with.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, 5:45 is when the board members need to be here to sign all of Beth's papers. 6 is when the meeting starts.
That's all that's called. Then June 6th.
You generate the papers, right?
I do.
When we sign them,
Yes,
they're your papers. You keep them after we sign them?
And June 6th.
Okay, but we'll start our.
I'm not trying to lay blame, I'm just,
We'll start our meetings at 6 though.
Then back to the third Tuesday in August.
Yes. I know, Jill.
Now, on the school year calendar, Nicole did the work on getting this together. And I'll let her explain it because she knows why certain things ended up where they are. Basically, we have to follow some of the new board schedule. So I reached out to them to include us in the future so we can have more conversations.
Have they actually formed all this? I know last year we got kind of a little big switch on, right?
Yes, so Newport has said that they have finalized theirs. I will say that last year, they did finalize and then change still, so there's no,
Awesome.
however, so all of the calendars besides ours, which makes sense because we have to kind of do what they do. And so the only main differences with our calendar versus Newport School District would be that they have like 2 random half days. And we don't typically do half days here, so I just kept them as full days. That was the excitement. And then, let me see.
And that doesn't cause any issues for busing, right? Butler is good about accommodating if they have early release and you don't.
We do not pick up for Montessori early release.
Yep. Okay.
Because they have an early release monthly.
Right.
But otherwise, we're very accommodating.
Okay.
The last change was on the 12th, that June 12th, they had as a half day, and it was never decided if we wanted a half day or a full day on the last day. That's the only real question mark I have for you.
I move that it's a half day.
I go half day.
Me too.
The only
Absolutely.
reason that I was like questioning it is because it puts us at 175.5 days. And that's an awkward look to have a 0.5. It's not as visually
We'll
appealing.
list it as a full day and then.
Yeah, family time after lunch.
So, okay, that's what I have.
Great.
I vote for being awkward.
All right, so I'll move to accept the,
Sorry.
yes.
And we don't have to do this, it's just an idea, it could be for next year even. And just coming off of an open house, is this something that we might want to formalize on our calendar at the start of the year, just so we aren't kind of doing the last minute, trying to pick dates and find schools and
Back to our,
it might like prompt people to mark it on their calendars ahead of time.
it should be on our school district
That's what I mean.
meeting schedule, yeah. Right?
Oh, no, I meant like
Board
as a
meeting
school event, like on the school district calendar.
We don't list any school events on our
Okay,
school
we
calendar.
don't,
We
Just the dates off.
just days off and just days off, yeah.
Okay, all right.
But it would be appropriate potentially to put it as a part of your meeting.
Yeah, so at least it'll get us thinking about it now instead of.
We already approved it, we can't change it.
That April, what will be the Saturday next year?
In April,
Yeah, that will be up at the front of April.
that would be the 6th.
Would you like to amend that calendar that you just approved and we can put school choice open house on April 6th?
I would like to.
Yeah, that's good. There's no holidays or anything around that.
Oh, that's why. It's so early.
So April 6th. School choice.
Kevin's just updating it as you're going along.
All right, sorry, Angie, so you're.
Yeah, I was going to move to approve the district school calendar for the 23-24 school year.
Second. All those in favor?
Keep looking for the save button every time I modify these stupid Google Docs.
No save, bottom up.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then do we have to approve the amendment that we just made?
I don't think so. because
Did you just made a motion to approve
The school district calendar, but while we were doing that.
the district calendar,
The
not.
district
board meeting
calendar.
Okay,
we
so
didn't
yes,
really-
we now need to make a motion to readdress the board meeting schedule and then approve the new edited board meeting schedule.
Right? Because we made a
Yes.
change to it.
All right,
So I move to readdress the board meeting schedule and approve what I just did.
The change that we made. The
I'll
addition
make the
of,
motion to add school choice into the district calendar on April 6th.
yes. Second.
Yeah, that's what I just did. Why are you just restating what
I'll second.
All right, aye, all those in favor?
I said?
Aye.
Okay. You flustered. Oh, we get to hear reports.
Frank's up next.
Oh, okay. I did not get the pages there. So let me go back. So it hasn't been that long actually since our district meeting, which went really well. So a lot of my time, some of my time, was spent prepping for this meeting and getting the documents ready and hopefully having things go smoothly. We went pretty well. I missed a couple things, but other than that, I'm pleased with that. We talked about special ed, your question. This is a really busy time of year with special ed because we're coming towards the end of the year. A lot of students are having meetings about summer services. as well as doing, getting ready for year-end evaluations and needing to make changes and that kind of thing. So there's been at least 1 or 2 meetings a week, sometimes more. So that's been keeping me busy with that. The open house, I thought we had good folks show up, had nice conversations, not a great turnout. And so maybe it's just the kind of thing we have to keep working on. I'm thinking maybe people had already kind of know what they want to do for next year. And, so maybe that's why folks didn't come, I don't know.
There also aren't really any changes to the program this year, so I mean, we hope to make a few changes this year. There'll be some more interest because there'll be more options.
Right.
God bless you. Thank you.
We did talk about trying to get more information on our webpage and links. I see Mount Royal's link is up.
Thank you.
And so that people can find links to the schools that we work with on our webpage too. So I think that'll just kind of keep getting better over time. We have for your schedules. We have a meeting scheduled with Newport for May 25th as a joint meeting. They're willing to do a joint meeting or a meeting separate with us ahead of their regular meeting or after their regular meeting. They meet around 5:30. They would be happy to have us, given our conversation we just had, if we want to meet with them on the 25th at 5:30. I'll let Don Magoo know that.
You said this month, it's 25th?
May 25th.
They can't do earlier?
Well, I think,
They might be able to.
but I think we wanted to leave some time to talk to some of the.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to talk to Sunapee before that. Now that Russ has been waiting for us to get organized, and then, so I'll talk with him tomorrow, and we want to sit down with Sunapee before we sit down with him. So I'll get that set up and find a date.
May 25th is hard for me,
Okay, we can try something else.
but I mean, if they can't do something else or if hard day for me.
Okay. Yeah, I'll ask them, is there a day that would be better?
Any of them. It's my son's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Any other day
Yeah.
works for me, or even earlier than 5:30.
Let me talk to them. They may be able to meet at 3:30. I mean, I don't think we have to be there for 3 hours.
And will it be our whole board?
Yes,
And you?
yes, this meeting will be our whole board, meeting with their whole board.
Okay.
And I've asked them specifically to be prepared to show us how our kids are doing.
Mhm.
And however they want to do that, but to give us feedback on,
And also their formula for figuring our tuition.
yeah,
Does this mean, is this an open meeting if all board members are there?
yeah, it's.
You would have to
get sworn.
Yeah.
So where would it be? At their location or
It would
ours?
be down at their location, yeah. Last time we did it, they have a nice meeting room down there,
Yes.
at Tech Center.
Yep. And
All right.
can you revoice the date? I didn't write it down.
May
so I-
25th. So I'm putting that in
Can you guys be
tentatively.
okay like at 3:30 of May 26th, if they want to meet 3:30?
I should be fine with that.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
They might find it, they might get some backlash from the
Public.
I'll see what.
public as far as trying to.
And they may not be able to do it. I mean, they probably
Right.
all have work to do.
Of course,
All right,
we
so
might
you're-
get the same sort of backlash.
Right. So you're going to work, right, and if we have to do it another day, like you guys are open to that?
I'm open to that.
Okay. So you're gonna communicate with Russ tomorrow to get us in with him
Yeah.
to chat about tuition and all that.
Tuition and how we may cooperate with them, what kinds of services that they may want to be able to help us with. If they may be willing to run a bus, if they could run their bus over here to do a pickup, that would be a great help. They can't run all over our roads, but they might.
Right, if we had a bus stop.
Yeah, if we had a couple of stops, that would be perfect.
So I don't know if everybody knows, like, what our conversation, like,
I spent, about busing in general, you mean?
no, I mean about Sunapee and approaching them. With
So,
our request.
yeah, so there's no big secret about it, but I think what we would like to do is to, see if Sunapee would be interested in being a second anchor school for us. A couple of years ago, I reached out to them, and I also reached out to Claremont to have those conversations, and at that point, they were not. I have great working relationships with Russ over there and the folks, and we've had really good experiences with our special ed students there as well. We have a preschooler who goes there, and that's been a really good experience. So I think we've been building on that relationship, so perhaps, we might be able to, and there seems to be an interest on their side now to do something more. So the timing might be right. So we'll see.
And I think it could be really appealing for our families if we can negotiate a bus.
Yeah.
So that families don't have to worry about pickup at 2:30 or 3 or whenever they
And
get
that's,
out.
and it could also, that can also be a conversation we have. I'm thinking through strategic planning, we're going to have to talk about busing and all that. So somehow, and we're going to be redoing that contract.
Right.
So I think that's an area we have to figure out how we're going to address that. So
Excellent. Okay.
there's some equity issues there that aren't quite right. So.
Okay. And then, I had another question, about we had talked about this at the school choice open house. I don't know if you talk about having an RSVP on that, and we don't hold it. We have people travel from Texas, a school travel from Texas to participate, and we had 2 families show up. So I think it would be helpful, if we can get 5 solid commitments.
Just an announcement, and really, we didn't do RSVP, so.
No, we did announcements that went out in the mail. We did announcements that went home with our students here. We did class dojo. We did a Facebook post and the website, which is our typical.
Yeah.
I mean, the RSVP wouldn't hurt because it almost pre-commits people psychologically.
Right.
They've said they're coming, so they actually get up and come.
And it doesn't have to be a high threshold, even 5 families,
Right.
but make it worth. And I mean, the schools were super happy that we're here. Even the people that traveled from Texas were super happy to be here, but thankfully 2 people showed up. So. No, I'm not. There was 2 other. Okay.
I think it was still working for them because they did a lot of, they had a lot of discussions with me before it.
Yes. Yes.
People in the room.
Yeah.
I felt like actually, it was a little bit disappointing that only a couple of families showed up, but I felt like the networking was actually quite good.
I agree.
Because we spoke to Sunapee and ATI was able to connect with other local schools. And they're always looking to build internship type things. So I felt like there were some wins
Absolutely.
inside of it.
Yeah, it wasn't unpleasant. It's just we didn't have a lot of people show up.
So I had to take home way too many sweet treats. So, okay.
You're gonna be next.
Sorry, Frank. So we, get your whole report.
Did we kind of Bogart part of your,
I know we kind of,
I'm sorry.
did we kind of Bogart part of your report there, or did you finish?
Oh, I'm done.
Okay.
So I want to do
cover one thing.
report, some of you, two things I want to talk to you about. Yeah.
perfect.
The issue with the family immunity, I mentioned
Oh.
we're going to include that in the report.
Okay, so
I did some research myself, but I'm curious to hear what you found out.
Okay, so, boy, I have to talk in general, in general terms. So, there's a couple of things that come into play here. So, I sent out a training PowerPoint that comes out of the Vermont Education Department. That I think is pretty helpful in explaining McKinney-Vento, which is a federal law. It's that we have to comply with, kind of supersedes whatever the state does. When a family becomes homeless, and they do define, if you are, if a child does not have a permanent couch surfing, they may be staying at a friend's house. For that to be their permanent home, they are still considered to be homeless. They then have certain rights. Wherever they happen to be staying, they can choose to attend that school, or they can choose to attend the school from which the community where they were.
Their last
became-
residence.
Yeah, became homeless. And that decision is made on what is in the best interest of the child. And they kind of get to decide that. We can't decide, oh, we think this is in your best interest. The families get to decide that. At that point, districts are also responsible for transportation. And we have had situations in districts where we've had to transport, school districts where I've been, we've had to transport children a considerable distance. Usually what happens with that is you work out an agreement with the receiving school to share that cost in some manner. Generally, it ends up being a 50-50. Everybody just kind of, owns their own piece of it. One of the interesting pieces of this law is that even if a homeless family finds a home and become residents in a district during a school year, they are entitled to continue in the school where they were residents in the past until the end of that year. And that can be kind of hard sometimes to swallow, because I recently had a situation where a family found a home in Lebanon in supported housing, and they're extremely happy and excited, did not want to switch their children to that school. So till the end of the year, and they had every right to do that. So that's how, that's kind of simple, but that's the nuts and bolts of it.
But then the implication, family in Lebanon was a Croydon family to pick them up and bring them here.
There was some questions.
So we've had
People approach you, and I've had people mention it to me too. So I did some research myself. Obviously I came up with the same findings that you have. But the thing that I was stuck on at first was the fact that it sounds like they actually do have a particular place that they're staying. However, I learned, as you just mentioned, that even if they're staying with friends and relatives on a permanent basis, that they're still considered homeless under this law.
Correct.
And there was a case that confirmed that, Shelby versus Cumberland County School District. That case was a little bit different than ours in that they were trying to send their child to the district in which they were staying. So I think in our case, from everything that I learned, is that we have an obligation to keep them in Croydon for the remainder of this school year. But then after that point, if they're still in Unity, they should be applying to Unity. That was what I took away from.
If they are remaining homeless, I think they still have the choice.
Into the next school year?
Yeah, because we remain their district of last residence.
Yeah, I think. Well, we can. I mean, obviously we don't.
What establishes permanency if they're in the same location for 6 months? Just not kind of
Where they're staying, the people where they're staying have to consent. That's some of the research we have done. Is that
So
this is going.
So-
I mean, this is kind of what I do. I interact with families when they're in this situation. I do home visits as well, and I just have conversations. What's the status? And we have to be very careful about that. We're not allowed to like send people to do investigations and that kind of thing, so I just like, hey, how do I help out here? What's the situation? And just kind of keep a sense of it.
So basically, once they've told you that they're homeless, you can't even investigate to ensure that that is correct. If they're at a location for the next 6 months in the same
To an
location.
extent, but you can't like be harassing or whatever. You have to be extremely careful how you do
Right.
that. Yeah, but yeah, so I am able to, just like I check on residencies, I'm able to do a certain amount with residencies. However, I'm able to actually send out police to do a residency check. I can't do that in this case.
Right.
You said that you were,
But I can do gently with families and have the conversations.
were you gonna do a home check or,
We had conversations.
okay. The language that I have down in the actual law, it says, explicitly requires that homeless children and youth be allowed to continue their education in the school of origin for the duration of the academic year if they become homeless between the academic years or during the academic year. So I think that, like, if it's gonna push to next year, we should probably take that and make sure that it's,
Check on that.
I don't mind, what I saw, it didn't seem like it was like a thing that we were held to in perpetuity. It was
Right,
so
so
that school year, and then wherever they are, they can apply to that district.
I'll check with the state reps and the state. Yeah, find out. I have had them roll. I have experience. More than 1 year.
Keeping some sorts of normalcy for the check, right? The bottom line.
I'm sorry.
Keeping the sense of normalcy for the check.
Yes, it's absolutely child-centered. It's about protecting children. The trauma, I mean, there's tons of research, the trauma that's involved with that, all of that is so high that it's difficult to understand mature learning, even health. Okay.
So,
Are we moving forward? Okay. I don't know that I really need this
Sorry, I
tonight.
forgot that.
So, geez, it seems like we were just together not too long ago, discussing all things financial. As everyone knows, everybody that's here was probably at the district meeting. So we had a unanimous vote of a 1.704759 budget. So at this stage in the game, what we are doing is preparing all the paperwork for the Department of Revenue, which becomes the basis for the tax rate next fall. In your packet, you have actual live links to all of those documents. The MS-26, which was posted before the district meeting. The school meeting minutes will be linked in here as soon as they're received. The MS-22, which are the appropriations voted, which some of you signed tonight and some of you signed electronically. And the school district warrant, we really only had one article this year. So we are 99% of our way towards fulfilling our obligations for the state of New Hampshire. That will be done by the end of this week, and then we move on to the next phase, which is closing down the district on June 30th and starting over on July 1. We are currently completing the financial audit for the prior school year, so that information will be available in the coming months as well. Robertson Green are our auditors. They will be our auditor for 1 more year. We're in a multi-year contract with that organization out of Concord. So fiscal year updates, there was mention at a prior meeting of federal grants. That seems to come up quite a bit. So what I've prepared for you is a table with all of the open allocations for the district and what is currently budgeted. So currently we receive ESSER 2 funds, $46,698, ESSER 3, $104,980, IDEA, ARP, $1,656, Two IDEA grants, $25,000, Title II, $5,600, Title IV, $10,000. And then a couple of other small Title I, Title II, and Title IV grants. Our total allocation is roughly $215,000. Of that, we have amounts that are budgeted. You can see what's budgeted. Those are multi-year grants, so they expire at different times. So we're in the queue for all of the grants being expended within their time frame. The biggest amount of outstanding grant money is in the ESSER 3 fund, and we have another year and 2 months to allocate and spend that money. Our initial ideas in the ESSER grant were to do some facilities work. We haven't found that to be an easy thing to do, but we'll update the board as we move along with that. I also provided you with expiration dates of all the grants so you can see when they phase out and what the programs are used for. Often people will ask, well, you have grant money, why can't you just go do it? Grants don't really work that way. They're very specific. So Title I is for helping disadvantaged children. Title II is for professional learning. Title IV, student support and enrichment. And the IDEA grant is generally special education. The ARP, the American Rescue Plan, will only be around until June 30th of 24. So after that's gone, then we scale way back into a roughly $35,000 in grant funding in a given year. We are going to begin very shortly our open enrollment for benefits. We are in a rate agreement with Health Trust. They provide our medical insurance and dental insurance. Currently, the district covers 88% of the cost of medical insurance and certifies one single certified staff for dental insurance for $305 for a single plan. The employee, if they chose two-person or family, would have to pick up the additional cost. So board members have all those costs in the packet. I've done a current analysis of high school tuition. We have 54 students in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 area schools. One of them online being ATI, the school I believe that was here on Saturday from Texas. One student at ATI, 2 in Claremont, 2 at Kimball Union Academy, 14 at Montessori, 3 at Mont Royal, 19 at Newport, and 13 at Sunapee. Newport and Sunapee have elementary and 5th grade through 12th grade. That projection is one student, one demographic less than what we budgeted. We are looking at, keep in mind that we always budget for everybody to go at the Newport rate. So the current amount of surplus that we could see is about $200,000. From the revenue side, town appropriation, we are actually as of this afternoon, all the way through April. So we have roughly $160,000 left coming from the town over to the school to fund the remainder of the school year. Currently, all of our tuition bills, with the exception of Claremont and Newport, are completely paid. There are no additional items on the revenue side. We have very little revenue, town appropriation, and a little bit of lunch money. But other than that, there's not a lot of revenue to report. Trust fund balances, we report these every month in the memo. They don't change until July 1. Special Education Trust Fund currently has $137,862. Facilities, $21,292. General tuition, this would be your offset if you went to a different model of budgeting for high school tuition. We would want to build this trust fund up. Currently, we have $53,259 in that fund. In the Van Sanford Fund, $13,138. There's no significant expense changes. One of the items that we our budget for all of those items, and we'll have a deeper breakdown in the May meeting of where we expect to end the year. I've provided the school board with all the manifests that have been created since our last meeting. They've been authorized and signed, and you can find expense and revenue sheets in the drive if you want to continue looking at those items. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to take those now or not.
I had one question.
Sure.
You said you're struggling with the facilities.
Mhm.
In what way?
So when we actually met with the state of New Hampshire last winter, so we're talking about the red building and we're talking about heating and cooling, and we really were thinking about updating our heating systems. It's not quite as simple as have somebody come in and pull the burner out and put in a new burner. The minute we start to do work in the red building, you have to bring it all up to code. And we don't have enough money to do that
I
type of
thought it
work.
was if we made any structural change.
Any structural changes, but we need to have an engineering plan in order to move forward with some of that stuff. There's not enough money really in this grant to do that type of work. So I think, Frank, I'll let you talk a little bit more about the approach.
Yeah, so, what was shocking to me was to find out that just attaching a, ADA ramp
Graham,
would be considered a structural change. So it's almost impossible to do anything.
But I believe the guy that told us that said that there was some creative way to do it. So
Yeah.
Right, I mean, so you start to do that, yeah, it have to be free floating. We could put it free floating, we just can't.
Attach it to the building.
but as part of the strategic, now that we're working on the strategic plan and identifying, there were a lot of identified items when we had our forum. It's going to be important for us to look at that and maybe incorporate some of that into this ESSER 3 money. So we have a whole nother year and a half for that pot of money. So it makes sense to get the information from the strategic plan before we just jump and do something, because there were a lot of really great ideas brought up. And some of that money from the ESSER 3 grant could be used as seed money to get something going in terms of maybe a structural engineering report. Again, the sky's the limit. It just depends on what direction you choose to go in.
So
And we
those
may be able
funds-
to use that for some of it.
Those funds can be used for any capital work, or is it, I thought it was only HVAC or something.
No, they're really focusing on heating, cooling, ventilation,
Safety.
safety, but safety is incorporated into your current buildings. And so it's going to be important for us to move a little bit further forward before we tap into that money. But I think if we were to plan, it's going to be important to get to kind of the facility for us. We don't really know what that looks like.
So just what level of government is telling us that if we want to upgrade anything in our building, we have to magically have money to upgrade everything?
You don't have to have magically money to upgrade everything.
Well, I mean, that's in
That's
essence what
what
they're
it
saying, is if
sounded
you
like.
make structural changes, you have to upgrade your building to be.
When you have to bring it up to code.
Yeah, so we have to
So-
upgrade everything that isn't currently upgraded if we want to upgrade anything. Who is telling us that?
Well, the information we received was from the state,
From the DOE.
DOE person came and did our inspection for school approval.
So the Department of Education is telling us.
Who came to our meeting? There was somebody that we had come in and give us information on this, and he told us the cost per square foot that typically.
Bill Knight, that was Bill Knight.
I thought he was the one that told us some of that with the code issues.
He did. So he has, along with, so Bill has worked in the schools for quite a while. He came here, we're actually funding him through the ESSER grant to help us identify areas that we can do. So yeah, we haven't done a lot of work with it just recently because we've been into a lot of other things. We got a little off track last spring. But I think regrouping now, the ESSER 2 grant is just about depleted. We've used that, and that was the one that went away first. So now we'll start focusing on the ESSER 3 grant and looking at what could be some of those facilities items that we could do that are not like bringing the whole building up
What is
to
allowed?
code. What can we do? So we did some electrical work and we did some,
Can you loop me in on these communications when you're talking back and forth with the DOE on
oh, sure.
specifically the use of this SR3 grant so that I can.
Yeah, so the ESSER3 grant, there's, I'll link in some more ESSER3 information into my report, so you can just pull it out, what they're saying to us, what to use it for.
Okay.
There are many areas where ESSER money can be utilized. Some of it is student-centered, a little bit is facility-centered, some is technology-centered. There are many uses. But when you're doing building work, it's a little bit trickier because you have to have Department of Education building approvals, and that requires engineering reports. Like there are a lot of pieces to it.
Right.
And we have $100,000. Well, actually, it's
Yeah.
80 now.
And it's just absolutely silly that
Mhm.
the Department of Education specifically would tell a school that if you would like to upgrade an ADA ramp and add an ADA ramp in your school, that you can't do it unless you can completely upgrade the building to code.
Well, I think there are components of it. So
It's just-
we talked about different components of the red building. The ADA ramp being one, the electrical service being one. The minute we opened the panel, then that opened up a whole other level of work. I'm not a facilities person, so I'm not going to try and interpret all of this. Our pool of money is not enough to get majorly creative with any big project.
Right.
So what we do choose to use it with has to be really selective. And a lot of the work that we're doing with the strategic plan may inform the best way to utilize that money.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, definitely we want to know where we're going before we start spending.
Well, and that's why it's still, right now, it's still there because there is no defined purpose yet from a building perspective. That was our initial, when we looked at it, we said that would be a great use of doing X, Y, Z, but it didn't turn out to be that simple.
And there'll be two pieces of this. One, which is what does that grant actually cover? And then the second is, to Kevin's point, do we actually have to do everything that they're suggesting we do? And I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Really know a lot about.
So I'd push it back pretty damn hard on DOE officials saying if you can't do X, Y, Z, then you can't even do X. And it's like, so you don't want us to improve the environment for our kids at all. You can't do everything you want.
And I think it's more than just the DOE that's involved in that. I mean, I'm not 100% on what happens when you build and you need to get permits and you need to do all this stuff. But there are points at which things, get triggered. And whether they're saying it was their rule or they're saying this is what's going to happen if you try to do that.
That I can understand.
Yeah, I'm not
Like
sure.
if you upgrade your heating system, you're going to overload your electric plant. Yeah, that could happen.
And I know if we want to get building aid, the killer with building aid, regular, is number one, if you qualified, and the list is huge. But you have to fully fund up front, and then they'll give you the aid as a
80%.
Yeah.
And that makes it really hard. 'Cause you have to put up.
Okay. All right. Well, just throw me in the communication so I can get a better picture of what's going on.
On to Nicole.
Here we go.
All right. Okay, grand finale right here. Our K1 students are currently focusing on dinosaurs and fossils and science. They're using this unit as a basis for enhancing their reading and writing skills. They were able to dig up dinosaurs, and then they each got their own little dinosaur that they wrote about and did some reading about dinosaurs in class. And on a side note, our playground is now an excavation site, and the kids are like, is this a fossil? Is this a fossil? And I'm like, probably not. And I had one student like, no, I'm gonna ask Miss Scanlon, like she knows more. Good. So it's been a ball at recess. No snow, and they're really excited. Then with Mrs. Scanlon as well, depending on the group, students might be focusing on letter sounds, identifying their letters, or up to reading words. Some are even practicing how to use the magic E when they're reading so that they understand how it changes the sound of the vowel. And then in math, students are focusing on, again, depending on their group, number recognition, one-to-one correspondence, addition, subtraction. And as always, they're practicing ways to work independently and in groups to complete their work. That is an ongoing focus in the K1 room, is how to work together and how to be an independent learner. So. In our 2 to 4 room, our students just finished a unit in math on money and time and data, and now we're moving on to geometry and fractions. They had the opportunity to participate in a Croydon craft fair where they created their own crafts and baked goods, and they sold them to their classmates using fake money. They had a really great experience with buying and selling products with not real money, sorry kids. But they did not mind at all that they were making things and not making real money, because they had a lot of fun with it. They also finished their classroom newspaper, and this featured various interviews, opinion pieces, and various stories about Croydon. And I know I was interviewed a couple times. It was very serious questions about like my favorite color. So it was great. And the students just loved it. And like I said, the teachers did too, because many of us were interviewed. So they've now begun reading a nonfiction text about the Revolutionary War, which is a Magic Treehouse fact finder. And so it's full of great nonfiction features, and they're using that to learn about nonfiction text, and kind of what is the main point of this text, using various things like headings, subheadings, sidebars, all of that great stuff. For recent events, we've had our Winter Spirit Week. I was looking, as I was writing this, I was like, we haven't had a formal board meeting in a while. We had a regarding all of our budget stuff. So in February, we celebrated the winter season with a winter festival. Actually, the majority of our families showed up, and we had great fun roasting marshmallows and making s'mores and playing snow golf and coloring the snow with food coloring. And a big shout out to families. We had families bringing delicious food and families that brought fire. And special thanks to the PTO, because they hosted the event. And we had Miss Bev, who she and her grandson drank a lot of water so that they could do the watered bombs for us with the colored. So that was a lot of work on their part. And of course, Miss Corelli, really, this is her big event. So she planned the snow golf and all of the activities and created some really great things for the kids. So just big thanks to all the people that make these things happen. We had a recent presentation from Turning Points Network. If any of you know Carrie Rochford-Haig, she is wonderful and works for Turning Points Network, and she visited, and she did a parent caregiver presentation regarding the visits that she'll be doing in our classrooms in May. So she'll be here to teach our students about self-advocacy and personal safety. And parents could come and ask questions about the curriculum. She did a whole PowerPoint and really explained the importance of this type of a curriculum for students and the philosophy around teaching students self-advocacy and personal safety at such a young age. And we had families online as well as in person. We had a PD day on March 14. It was a very snowy day. For those that were voting, you may have also noticed that there was some snow. So we met virtually instead of in person, so we do not have to make that day up. And we really focused on looking towards the rest of the school year. How are we making sure to hit the needs of our curriculum for the rest of the school year? And we met as a special education team as well to discuss some needs and assessments that needed to occur for the rest of the year. So just a lot of looking to the future, where are we at and where are we going. We recently had 2 new students join us at CVS. So we are up to 30. We have 16 in the 2 through 4 classroom, and we still have 14 in the younger groups. So we have 30 students now. All right, talking about some progress monitoring data. Our students recently did the STAR progress monitoring assessment. Depending on the grade, they do math, reading, or early literacy. And I know that we have our board reorganization. So I've presented on this data several times, but if you have questions, let me know. So 19 students in our 1st through 4th grade classrooms took the STAR Math Progress Monitoring Assessment. And of those 19 students, 2 had a negative growth rate, while 17 had a positive growth rate. So we're very happy are making the growth that is anticipated of them. In early literacy, we had 17 students take that particular assessment, and that's for students in grades K through 2. And of those 17, 1 student had a negative growth rate, while the other 16 had a positive growth rate. And then lastly, in our grades 3 and 4, all students made positive progress, and that's 11 students. So we're very, very excited to see great gains happening. Any questions on that? Cruising right along. Upcoming events. On April 20, we will have our annual Family STEAM Night. That is from 5 to 6:30. Families new and old can join us for various stations focused on science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And we will even have live animals to be able to pet and learn about. We have a wonderful gentleman that comes, and he is phenomenal. We were thinking of switching up the guy when we talked about it last year, and then the night came and everybody met him, and they're like, oh yeah, we don't care, we want him again. Because he just is so knowledgeable, but also really great at explaining to young students. And we had many adults that stood next to him for quite some time asking their own questions. So it was very informative for all. We'll serve pizza and cookies at this event because it is at dinner time. And we are looking for high school students to volunteer to run a booth at the event. It's very simple, and I would not put a student at a station that is something that is too crazy. So please, if they need service hours, give my email, my number. I would love to have some volunteers, especially if they're former Croydon Village School students. Lastly, just kidding, not lastly, we are going to have our field trip for a performance of Upcycled Cinderella. This will be at the Claremont Opera House on April 21. And we'll be going to celebrate the arts with a twist on the classic Cinderella. We have April break right after that, April 24th to the 28th. And as an ongoing kindergarten registration documents are live on our website. Families with kindergarten age students can register their child by going to our website and clicking on the parent tab. It's the first thing there. It's a form that they fill out, and then I will contact them to have the formal, or not so formal, but meet the child and have their little assessment done with Miss Ivy later in the year. So any kindergarten families, please start signing up. Ta-da.
Thank you.
All right.
I think that's it. We're on to the public forum number 2. Anyone?
Yeah, I'd like to know that we get better chairs.
The fire station has better chairs.
I know.
No public forum? No one wants to yell at us?
Great. And I think we already established our next meeting date, which is not May 9th, but May 2nd, right?
Yes, so that means.
And do we need to do a non-public? I know that was briefly mentioned. I don't know.
I don't see it as necessary. Angie?
No.
All right, so just before we close, I wanted to say welcome, Angie, officially.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, and this past year has been really, really challenging. You know, we've all been put in uncomfortable positions that none of us really wanted to be in. But I might just be imagining things that aren't there. But when I walked in today, I did feel like there was a really good atmosphere here, and I feel that with the new board, that we're getting a fresh start, and then looking forward to working with this entire group.
Yeah.
This year, so
Me too.
hopefully the feeling is mutual.
Thank you. Yeah.
Should be exciting here.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff going.
Thank you,
So,
Savannah.
Yeah.
Meeting adjourned.
At
Yes.
8:21.
Let's do it.
So just so you know,
Yes, as long as the committee pauses over summer, I will. Yes. Okay. Yep. I have been initialized. What? Having a baby in July. So July and August are no. Yeah. Recovery. I am all about having a little pause on all of the board committees, so, yes, awesome, good, thank you.
Well, I'll be out of work next fall, so they'll give me something to do.
Yes, good.
I was like, I don't know how it works.
well, I wrote it off. I already wrote it.
Hi, you want to chat for a second? So the answer to that is yes. Yes,
Oh, yeah, because he's on board, he has a key.
Why is that wide open? It seems all very.
Discussing possibly them also.
Just more.
Oh, okay. Is there currently not? Maybe now that we're.
That's fine. I'll need a copy of it though when you.
Okay. Stir it a little bit.
Yeah, stir it up a little bit, but yeah.
Okay, you'll just leave it. Well, you'll just leave. I'll just need a copy of that, that's all.
Yeah, no problem.
Because it goes up into multiple brands, but I think you also have to send it to, you have to physically send a copy of that to them.
The thing that I started on is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I applied for it.
Yeah, check out on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Hi, how are you? I'm good.
some extra reading material for you.
I haven't seen Grayson, first month right now.
I haven't tried it out.
Learned a lot.
Hearing a lot.
She rode yesterday. I'm only there. Yeah, she's not, I mean, she was there for like, I know. For quite a long time. I'll bring you more honey regardless. Her mind is a little more settled, so she doesn't need all of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is good. She's in a good.
Did you say you were here?
Honey? Yeah.
Jeez, like 9 miles long.
Do we have to do that? No, but I figured it's not overdue, so
I'm
I'm
just gonna at least hand it to him. I don't know if that's how it goes. I don't either. I just am like. So, you know, Angie was very interesting.
Tell me.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. I really thought that she was shy. I did too.
Oh, I did too. But, you know what?
It's better, feels better.